Peace to the saints. Today we have my annual lecture, and as we find that the times are more serious, the message will have to be a little bit more serious. As I go through, I trust there'll be a great many of you who take issue with what I have to say. You are the ignorant among us. But don't worry, you can be heard out. Use the information below. You can send in your email address, and I'd be happy to bring you on for a conversation following my prepared remarks. And of course, for those of you with common sense, if you'd like to support the work as I go through, you can also use this information here to send in tithes and tuition. This is an annual speech that I've done for several years now, and you'll notice each year it changes just a little bit in accordance with the times that we're in. I'd like to start by reminding you all that all men are ordinary. The extraordinary men are those who know it. It's a quotation from Chesterton, which is to let you know that even though the government has sold Martin Luther King to you with great purpose, like you and I, he is of flesh and blood. He is merely a man and makes mistakes. In the content of this speech, we will review some of those mistakes that have been detrimental to the black people in America. This is not to say he is not a great man to whom we are all indebted at a level. Fourscore years ago, Martin Luther King spoke of a dream, a fairy tale that enchanted millions of black folks who were then victim of hatred, legal discrimination, and economic subjugation. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was supposed to end a long winter in which the black American had been left out in the cold, outside of a house they helped build. 160 years later, the black Americans subsist at the bottom of the racial hierarchy. Black Americans have failed at the basics: family and finances. The black American has his rights, has his freedom. He even has Atlanta. And what is Atlanta? Little more than a cesspool of perverts, criminals, and single mothers. The black mind is lost. The whites sold you a dream, repackaged and sold you Martin Luther King. 160 years later, you are begging for reparations? From whom? The government that held you in chains? Reparations from whom? The white devil you say hates you? I'm not saying you don't deserve it. I'm saying you're not going to get it. You're the most hated. 160 years later, the Negro finds himself on an island, segregated, trapped, impoverished, not due to the lack of that which goes in the hand, but the lack of that which is in the mind. A people cannot survive when they fail to exercise real intelligence in an era wherein even machines have artificial intelligence. I'm here today to dramatize a shameful stagnation. When Martin Luther King, on behalf of a people, bellowed, "I have a dream," he didn't let us know that it was a pipe dream. We didn't realize that it was a pipe dream. Was the dream of the black American to be integrated with the whites, or to not be relegated to unending poverty? Dr. Martin Luther, the king of beautiful words and hideously insufficient understanding, sold blacks the idea that if you could just go to the same school as the whites, if you could just eat at the same restaurant as the whites, we'd be equal to the whites. Oh, it's so dreamy. So very dreamy. I'm here to tell you that a people do not come out of recent enslavement and find themselves on equal footing with their former enslaver. You must rebuild the black psyche, the self-esteem of a people. You have to first let go of the white man's religion, and that doesn't mean pick up the Arab man's religion. Imagine being scared to believe in something that comes from you. During Martin Luther King's time and today, the black is not equal to the white. The present black comedy is that the current state of white America is quite pitiful, nothing I'd want to be equal to. I will not pretend as though today the black people have the rights and privileges equal to that of the white woman in our society. But what have we done with the rights that we have won? We have integrated schools. Niggas sit in the back of the classroom if we even show up. We have the right to vote, yet we don't produce our own authentic leaders to vote for. We have freedom, but we mostly only take the liberty to complain and to blame. As a result, we suffer more of the same. On average, the state of black America reflects not a dream, but a nightmare, a long nightmare that we have not awakened from for 160 years. The truth remains, not hatred from people without color, nor the environment, nor any other variable is strong enough to deny an upright, disciplined, hardworking people from the great vaults of opportunity of this nation or any other nation. And speaking of nations, those deceitful African governments care nothing about you and I. They dangle citizenship. They really want to capture your black American tourist dollar. I know I've tried citizenship in South Africa, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Benin. It's all a scam. It's all lies. Ghana's year of return. They make a couple celebrity citizens to lure you in to go visit and spend your money. They only want to milk the black American. It's the truth. And I know. So I say to you, black America, must make your own way in this day on this land that is yours. Your ancestors shed blood here, raised generations here, and created the most influential culture on the whole planet Earth, and you did that here. You have freedom today. I have freedom today. But what have we done with that freedom? A black president in the White House did not keep black people out of the crack house. A black president in the White House did not keep black people out of the poorhouse. It was Martin Luther King in the 1960s. It was Barack Obama in the early 2000s. Still, we put the weight of an entire people on one Superman. Never again. Everyone must take a stand. We cannot rely on one man. The only way to be equal is to be equal. Civil rights legislation didn't do it. You can't legislate it? What? A black president didn't do it. Oh, voting one black guy into a position of power didn't do it? Oh. You exhaust yourselves toiling, trying to change the greater society out there. When the only thing that needs to change for us to make progress is you and I. Let us not be like the educated fools who speak and write and debate and complain and reiterate endlessly about systemic racism, as though we, a minority, can have influence in a majority rules system. Wake up, lest you remain in a 160-year nightmare. Now is the time to lift ourselves from the quicksands of self-pity to the solid rock of individual and collective action. Those who call themselves Jews came to this land of opportunity as a scorned people. Now they are rulers in the land, rulers of the world, not from marching in the streets, but from marching toward education and meaningful degrees, finance, law, business. We have too many degrees in that which does not pay. Gender studies, sociology, African American studies. Degrees in how to explain away current stagnation. This is 2026, not 1726. You are not a slave lest you are a slave of your own making, slave to your own foolishness, victim to your own lack of self-belief. Let 2026 be the year that you wake up. If today you wake up and find that your dream is far away, there should be neither rest nor tranquility until you have made good on the rights of citizenship that our forefathers bled for. Martin Luther King spoke of police brutality half a century ago. The police are still brutal. They even catch a couple whites now and then. But what concerns me is that we are brutal to one another. Too often, a black neighborhood can be described as a ghetto. And that is not solely due to poverty. It is largely due to mentality. No more dreaming. I have the plan today. Our children must be raised with knowledge of self, which creates the foundation of respect for self. And finally, we must have understanding of how to make a dollar, how to respect a dollar, how to spend a dollar. For there is no freedom without finances. Poverty has been an everlasting storm over many of our families. Unknowingly, you've waged economic warfare on yourselves. The Black American was wealthier under segregation. And at that time, you were forced to spend among your own. Now, ignorant people with freedom, you spend your dollar with those who do not love you, never to see that dollar return to your community. And for your ignorance, you blame your economic ills on systemic racism rather than your own enduring ignorance. But let us not wallow in the valley of despair, for I have the plan. I have the plan, I say, for ensuring that one day our people will rise up and be truly proud, for we know who we are. And we, like the Armenians, know our history, and that enslavement was a mere blink of the eye in the long history of the black man and woman. The black man and woman, those who have the longest of histories, those who are father to humankind. I have the plan that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons and daughters of black nuclear families will sit down together with white and Asian children in true equality, not because we say they are equal, but because they prepare, perform, and achieve at an equal level. I have the plan, I say. I plan for ownership. For a time, our ancestors were owned by the enslavers. And today, some of you still are. Do you own yourself while you sit in a government jail cell? Do you own yourself? I'm already doing the work. I invite you to join. You must own yourself. You must own the job. You must own the policing force. You must own the business. I have the plan, I say. They say desperate times call for desperate measures. In case you've not looked up from your phone, the times are desperate. These are desperate times where the snowmen prowl in this wintry world. You may end up getting trapped by ice, but together we will be able to hew out of the valley of material lack a stone of hope. With this plan, we draw on our internal wealth to manifest the material abundance which we've been denied since we arrived on a slave ship named Jesus. Our grandparents endured the hard part: sit-ins, incarcerations, marching, and protest demonstrations. We must take the liberty of sitting in the front of the classroom, but what is more, we must own the school, write the curriculum, educate our own. So I invite you to work with me in executing the plan so that the dream is not just a dream. And that concludes my prepared remarks. I will now yield the floor to those who have questions, comments. And I trust there may be some contradictions because many of you have been brainwashed at a high level. And for those of you who would like to come on and dispute anything I've said, you can use the information below. Send in your $20 with your email address, and we'll send you the link to join on the stream. And I think those of you who may have supported this, I always emphasize that we know that the Black people are extraordinarily ignorant, because if I was on here roasting someone or speaking of drama or something that's completely irrelevant to your life, we'd find that the stream would be utterly flooded with people watching and supporting. And that only reminds us that a significant portion of our people must be essentially eradicated. They're beyond being helped, I promise you. Anyways, let me look through and see who supported the work. You can use the information right now in your TICE tuition. And thank you to all of you who are actually a part of this work. I highly encourage you guys to join at peacetothesaints.com if you've not already. Imagine how brainless someone asked me, my team Morocco or team Senegal, like I care about soccer. This is the kind of stupidity we have to deal with. Another, are we rage bait? This is the expression of suffering poor public education. This is why we must educate our own. Imagine being so limited in your thinking that if someone presents a new idea, you believe that they're trolling because they don't believe as you've been brainwashed to believe. We have another imbecile writes, MLK was a Zionist. Just imagine that the whites have fooled you at such a high level that you can't assess the fact that Jews, those who say they are Jews, are also white. And furthermore, you think that either one of those groups care about you. How foolish are you? How foolish are you? You can't be that dumb. Actually, you can be. That's why Black people are in this situation. Yes, indeed. Someone at least said something intelligent. He writes, Martin Luther King stated that he led us into a burning house. That is correct. You're completely correct there. Just reading through these comments to get a sense of the true bottomless level of stupidity of the Black masses globally. This is precisely why I'm opening a training center to educate. I find it very funny that Black people say that the whites are devils and the whites hate them. Then they ask the whites for reparations. Then they send their kids to schools and let the whites teach their kids. And of course, are the whites going to teach your kids? They're going to teach your kids white supremacy. They're going to teach them inferiority. You guys, I find it just bizarre, the foolishness. Someone writes, how can I join the live? I have a lot of questions. Well, firstly, the reason that we have you send in your 20 bucks, I'll let you join. It's a great way for us to stop attention seekers and clout chasers from coming on just to be seen. We have a lot of very womanly males. Another reason that the black community is in such disrepair because I have very few men. So if you'd like to come on, send your 20 bucks. I'll give you a platform in front of thousands of people. You can express yourself at this time. I would also like to remind you all that many of the folks you believe are leaders, they're not leaders, they're commentators. Black people have historically had a great deal of trouble differentiating the difference between a commentator, a celebrity, an entertainer, a pastor, and a leader. These are different things. I also would like to point out to you that you very rarely find a black philosopher. It's like we have trouble coming up with ideas, and so we latch onto the ideas of others. And this is just a reflection of our intellectual concerns that we need to address. And then you have people in the comments where they're impoverished mentally and financially. They have so much advice. There's no level of reality. People have such a lack of self-awareness. You have one dweeb writes, you can get a citizenship for 1K to 5K expedited. This is completely a lie. Trust me, I've invested tens of thousands. I've had several employees working on this within 3 or 4 different African countries. It is false. It is absolutely false. I'm certain of it. And if it was 5K, I'd buy 20 citizenships. I mean, let's be real here. This is nonsense. These are lies. And this is why you can't trust most people today, because they're liars. This is across all the racial categories. And with black folks, they're liars and broke, which is just a nasty nasty combination there. And some MLK was too soft. That's correct. He was far too soft. But what you have to understand is that it's not only about being hard and dealing with external threat, it's also about dealing with the internal threat. You see, we have to be hard on each other to make sure that those who are within our house are actually within our house. We have many double agents, many race traders. One of the best examples today is Anton Daniels. Another example is the Hodge twin. Another example is Candace Owens. They're all not actually with us. Gentleman writes, the black box was fire. I appreciate you. That is my testament. And it is a guide on how to live in this world today. So if you haven't gotten it, I recommend it. Get it on Amazon. I don't say it because it makes me money. I already got money. I say it because it's 10 years right and I wrote it for you. It reads like a movie and it's all facts. Kind of to find something that's truthful nowadays. And the funny thing, I see broke people in the comments around. I tried to get citizenship here or citizenship here. Too expensive. No, it's not about the cost. They're not actually giving you citizenship. They're trying to put you through all of these schemes and scams to steal your banking information, steal copies of your passport, your social security number, and to get you to go there to visit and spend money as a tourist. They're not actually giving citizenship. Trust me, I know. There's no one who would know better than I do. The problem is that we have such a lack of awareness and humility, and we have a lack of family. Family is an important first place where human beings should learn respect for the self. You should also learn hierarchy. And that would be inclusive of learning to respect your parents and younger sibling, respect older sibling, observe the respect and deference that your mother has for your father. And the problem is that so many of us have not observed that. We're not participating in happy, healthy families. We don't understand hierarchy. That's why things are dysfunctional, because people don't know their role. And you might think that I speak sternly, and I absolutely do, and I mean every word. The black woman is the most unruly woman on earth. The black man is the weakest, one of the weakest men on earth. And the black woman must be put under control through by any means necessary. Yes. And the black women who are currently sane, which is a minority, you'd be wise to get on board with a man who is productive, of which there are many, which means that you'll have to have multiple black women for one black man. You're already doing this, except your baby mamas. You'd be wiser to deal with the truth and just become a wife, one of 2 or 3 wives instead of one of 5 or 10 baby mamas. You look stupid. Anyways, the gentleman writes, what's your Patreon, Marquette? My Patreon is patreon.com/the saint and the sinner spelled out. If one of my mods would type that in the chat, I'll post it. And thank you to everyone who has sent in using the information below to support the work. Maybe I'll stop doing this stuff because it's very low attendance. And also, it just seems like the people who need this help most care the least. Realistically, I've been well off for like a decade and a half, 15 years. So it's not me that I'm speaking up for. I'm doing pretty well. When I travel around the world, they don't treat me like a black person or an African. They just treat me like a wealthy person. And I know that if I was broke, they'd probably treat me like a nigga. But this is mostly for you. But the irony is that the people who need this most, the people who should be a part of this part of the Assassin, and you can join at peaceofthesaints.com, these are the people who are absent. And also, I also want to remind you guys that we often hear this concept of we. There is no we. Unless you're part of an organization, there is no we. You see, because the truth of the matter is that, and I don't want to hear people like, oh, I agree with you on everything else but this. No, don't speak up against me in public. I consider you the enemy. That's not what family does. Family does not discuss disagreement in public. Family is unified in public. But I want you to understand there's no such thing as a we. You see, that would require that black people are organized in some way or have a reliable shared set of values, philosophy, beliefs, cultural practices, even music. I mean, we are so splintered. There is no we. You see, when I say we, I'm talking about the saints, the assassin, because our values are public and stated. If you go to peaceofthesaints.com, you go to the bottom, it says, what is Marquettism? You click that link. It literally lays out the philosophy and the way of life. So there is a real we. When black people say we, there's no real thing. Because I say, well, where's the headquarters for black people? If something bad happens to you, who do you call? There is no we. And if you have an actual question for me, you can use the information below to have your question answered. I'm not just addressing the questions of random people in the chat. Unless I recognize their name as a member, then at that point, yes, I would answer their question because we are connected, whereas you would just be a random person. It's also quite sad to see so many effeminate males. This is one of the big issues. You guys might say, Marquette, you talk a lot about the female, the black woman in particular. I do. I also talk a lot about black men, but people don't seem to be as sensitive about that. You see, someone put, how much is the book? Don't get the book. It's not for you. And I'll tell you why, because it doesn't matter how much the book is. I think it's the price of a typical book. I don't know, probably like $13, $12, something like that. But you shouldn't get it because if you're concerned with the price of the book, your priorities are out of order. Like, anytime you buy a book, you're always getting a deal. Marquette, well, what do you mean? It took me 10 years to write, doofus. If it took me 10 years to write, would I ever give you an individual that much of my time? Of course not. So when you get the book, you've gotten my time at a discount. My effective hourly rate is like a little over $800 US just for an hour of my time. So if you can get a book that takes me 10 years to write and it's real stories, the amount that it will benefit you is really hard to calculate. The idea that you'd question, well, how much is the book? How much could it possibly be? Like at the most, what's the book going to be, like $20? It's like, I think it's like 13, 14. But for you, I don't recommend it. I don't want your money. I don't want your money mixed in with other people's money. You heard me? I only want good money. You're not ready. You're not like us. And if you've actually been following my work, if you've really come to understand the ism, like those kind of foolish thoughts will leave your mind. Like it's truly foolish. How much is the book? That shows a lack of self-love. Marquette, what do you mean? If you buy the book, you're not buying it for me. You're buying it for you, doofus. You're buying it for you to enhance yourself, to give yourself more inspiration, more knowledge, the ability to navigate a challenging world. So what you're actually saying is, Marquette, I'm not willing to spend $13 on myself. That's terrible. And again, these are the kind of values that we have to explicitly teach people. Like, it's just sad that you don't love yourself enough to spend $14 on yourself or 13. I don't even know how much it is. And frankly, I don't care because I don't need the book. I wrote the book. I am the book. Someone put the only black business that survived integration was the church. The church is not a business. That's an important thing to comprehend. And there's a lot of people saying, Marquett, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love your work. I love this. Love is one of the strongest words in the English language. I really want you to be thoughtful and accurate. It's called diction. Choose the correct word. You don't love me, most of you, because you're not a part of my movement. I've never met you. You've never come out to an event. You've never supported the work. That's not love. You're a fan, which is fine. Say, hey, I'm a fan, but here's the kicker. I'm not a celebrity, and I'm not trying to be a celebrity. I would much rather live a private life if I could be unbothered. The only reason I don't live a private life is because a lot of the times I find that I'm, challenged or limited in the world. It's not because of my individual characteristics, it's because of the way I'm perceived, which is based on the hatred from colorless people and also the underperformance of black people. And this is one of the major reasons I do my work. Or I experience challenges in the world because society is degrading. That's the only reason I get involved. I'm an introvert. I mostly don't want to meet new people. I don't want to slap fives with you people. So let's be clear. Don't write, I love you, because it's fake love. And it just shows that you're a fake person. And more importantly, you degrade the nature of your relationship with the people you say that to. Don't say you love me, a stranger, and you also tell your girlfriend, your wife, or your children, or your mother that you love them. That really degrades what you're saying. Maybe you're a phony person. So I just encourage you guys to be real. Be real with yourself. Definitely be real with me. You dig? Yes, indeed. And a lot of people are like, yeah, this guy's the leader we need. Are you in the movement? If you're not in the movement, you're part of the problem. And I really do mean that. I mean every bit of that. I often talk to older people who were alive when Malcolm X was doing his thing. They were alive when Martin Luther King was doing his thing. They didn't go to any marches. They didn't show up to any sit-ins. They were not actually a part of the movement. They're really freeloaders, to be honest with you, freeloaders on the good things he did. But as a man, especially, if you're not actually contributing, that's not manly. That's not what I teach. That's in direct contradiction to what I teach. Someone writes, that book should legitimately be $5,000 minimum. Exactly. Full stop. 100%. Somebody wrote, he doesn't want the book, but he bought those Jordans. Exactly. And this is the black psyche that I talk about. It's comedy. Truly comedy. And I also want to let you guys know, like, as men, like, don't be beggars in this world. That is not your position. If you are calling yourself a man, if you were born a male, stop being a beggar in this world. Stop asking for freebies. Stop asking for handouts. The reparations mentality is a beggar mentality. I'm not suggesting that black people haven't went through horrible things. I'm not suggesting that maybe you're owed something. I'm suggesting that as a man, you have to say to yourself, well, if something is owed to me and I truly believe it's owed, I'm going to take it. Yeah, I'm going to take it. It's mine. It's owed to me. It's rightfully mine. But stop being a beggar. We are at war. There's a war of civilizations. There's a war of nations. And what you should be more concerned about is the fact that most black women are unruly, which breaks apart our ability to build families. Most black men are unproductive, which stops their ability to support families. And then they're also following after the whites, but they're like going it to the nth degree, and they're, stopping the lives of most of their children who would exist. We're at a war of nations. So when you don't have population, you cannot be successful. It's impossible. Absolutely impossible. Huh? Let me acknowledge some of the folks who have supported the work. Shout out to Issa, who supported the work using the Stripe link, which is in the description of the YouTube video. I appreciate you. Shout out to the real ones. Now, also acknowledge Jefferson, came in via Venmo, writes Peace of the Saints. Shout out to Joseph, writes Peace of the Saints tuition. Joseph is very consistent. That's called loyalty. That's something most of you N-words have no idea about what loyalty is. You're not even loyal to your own family members. And it doesn't surprise me because you grow up in broken families where your mom divorces your father, or your father has another old lady and your mom breaks up with them and ruins the family because of that, or your dad ran off on the family. You weren't raised learning it. So it's like now you reject it. Shout out to Jalen, writes Peace of the Saints support. Shout out to Nick, came in via Venmo, writes tithe. Thank you for being a fearless leader and a tremendous example of truth. Peace to the saints. I appreciate you. And shout out to Nick, my captain in Vegas. Issachar writes tuition. Peace to the saints. May I also acknowledge Constantine writes tuition. Constantine, another one, was very consistent. And that's what people don't understand, is that the number one tool of the enemy has always been first to get us to betray our own, betray ourselves, break us apart. And you even hear the white supremacists now when they talk about what is the situation of the black people. The first thing they want to do, of course, is they try to escape blame. They'll say, oh, you guys sold each other. The Africans sold other Africans, which is actually not the truth. It's not the whole story. But you hear people parrot this. You heard this from Anton Daniels. And these are people who are not learned or well studied. They're trying to push an agenda. They're pushing propaganda. I also acknowledge Madam Quick. Shout out to the lady saints supporting the work. And it's a shame. You have 1,000, 10,000 guys watching, and you have women will show up supporting the work before you. And I always tell you, do not let a woman outperform you. You should all consider it a slap in the face. Every man should be a competitor. Every man should want to be the big dog. You know, every man should be in competition. Cum and pedis from the Latin, to strive together. But so many of you guys are weaklings. You want to sit at home and play video games and wonder why you're broke and blame everyone, blame racism, blame Trump, blame the economy, but you never blame yourselves. You're dirt bags. And that's the truth. And I hope you take me seriously when I tell you you're a goddamn dirt bag. Shout out to Aaron supporting the work. I appreciate you came in by Venmo. May I also acknowledge Mr. Muvirimi. He writes, one take quet inspirational speech. Peace of the saints. I appreciate you. Shout out to the real ones. And I'm sure a great deal of it went over the heads of many. I also acknowledge Dominic. He writes, peace of the saints tuition. Thank you for having a plan. It's not a plan. It's the plan. If it was a, we use that article, that would mean one of others or one of many. We say it's the plan, the only plan. There must be simplicity and oneness. The black people can no longer be fragmented and splintered, going in many directions. This is why I often talk about family. And when we talk about family, we talk about patriarchy. One leader. We're not co-captains, you and the woman. There's one leader. And it is in that unity that you have power. This is precisely why they hate African nations to have a strong man, which they call a dictator. They demonize it. It's an autocrat. The same thing as when Europe had kings or emperors. They don't want the blacks to have that because it's a critical part of development. It's also a critical part of nationhood and identification together. They're running scams on you. Come on now. They let the Saudis have no democracy, no vote, no plebiscite, and they overlook it. But when you have a strong man in Africa, say Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore, then there's a problem all of a sudden. Many of you look, but you don't understand. Anyways, shout out to Gabriel. Came in supporting the work via PayPal. May I also acknowledge Mr. Cito. He writes, I would like to join your live. My name is Pharaoh Cedo. Okay, very good. So let me see, where's his email address? Okay, the gentleman did come in the proper way, making his request. However, I do not have an email address from you, and I did not want to release the share link publicly. So you kind of failed in that regard, but I will release the share link, and this is only for the gentleman who sent in his $20 via PayPal. I would encourage all of you other low IQ, low income black guys to not hit that link. And if I get one of you goofballs on the link, I'm probably not going to let any more black guys on the link because you guys are so damn underdeveloped. It's disgusting. It really is. That's the link for the gentleman who came in via PayPal. Anyways, may I also acknowledge Michael supporting the work via PayPal. Shout out to Alexander. He writes, I will donate more when my financial situation is better. Well, I tell you what, I respect even if you sent in 50 cents or $1 because that's what you have to give. And as I always teach you guys in my financial literacy courses, I teach you it's all about percentages. You see, if you're a wealthy man and you give $1,000, it could be 1% of your income. If you're a low income man and you give 50 cents, it could be 1% of your income. It's the percentages that matter. And I know that you're giving what you're able to give, and I respect that and I appreciate it because it's all about really you just standing up and saying, hey, I'm here. I hear you and I realize you, Marquett Burton, you are for us. You have taken great risk for us. You already have all of the nice things in the world and you've had it for 15 years. You're here for us. So I appreciate you standing up to be counted. That's why I never say the amounts that people send in because it's irrelevant. The only time I say the amount is if it's $100 because that's a baller alert. Or I might say the amount if it breaks the record, and the record is $111, and it was by Sean Telfer. And Sean Telfair is a baller. You heard me? And I acknowledge him. You heard me? Because there's nothing like being the top dog. And he has the highest contribution so far. It's $1,111. And I love to see ballerism. You dig? Shout out to the bosses. Anyways, and your financial situation will get better. I absolutely promise you that. I promise you. Things always get better, especially for people with good morals. I may also acknowledge Dominic. He writes, "You're right. Thank you for having the only working plan for all the saints to continue to follow success, assassin or nothing." And I'm trying to tell y'all, assassin or nothing. You heard me? There's no compromises. We're not making friends or slapping fives with any other movements. That's because they're fake movements. For example, people are always like, Marquett, why don't you like the Hebrew Israelites? I like some of them as individuals. They're all right people, but I see a lot of them are overweight. That's something we don't condone. We teach exercises, prayer, 30 minutes of sweat every single day. We teach healthy eating and healthy living. They drink alcohol. We teach we're against intoxicants. Huey P. Newton. We see Black Panther Party was not only destroyed by COINTELPRO and the Federal Bureau of Investigation and J. Edgar Hoover types, but also they were destroyed from within through intoxicants, drugs, alcohol, all of these things that destroy you. It even destroyed the red man. It's still destroying the First Nations people up in Canada. So I teach you to be clean, purify yourself, have self-love. You see, so there can be no compromise. These are inferior movements. And they also believe in ghosts and spirits and all this other nonsense. Oh, yeah. And also they are on government benefits, kind of like the people who call themselves Jews. So I teach you financial literacy. I teach you entrepreneurship. If you go to school.com, SKOOL.com/Marquett, and you click classrooms, there's a lesson there on personal finance, how to budget. There are lessons there on real estate. There are lessons there on stock for dummies. There's lessons there on how to create a product-based business with $500 or less. There's lessons there to teach you how to do for self. I'm not just talking it. We're really getting the work done. Look at this degenerate. He writes, "What's wrong with being fat?" As the Russians say, if I need to explain, I don't need to explain. I'd rather just ban this person because they're degenerate. They're degenerate. They're not like us. And it's okay to say, you're not like us. This is a movement for the elite men and women and those who would strive to be elite. You may not be there, but you may be on your way, and we want you. We want all of you guys to come and be developed. Those of you who are already developed, please come be a part of this thing of ours. But those of you who are degenerates, those of you who think it's okay to carry excess fat on your body, especially as a male, you're taking your own life slowly. You have no self-respect. You can never respect anyone else. I find you to be a disgusting person I would never want to be around. Anyways, shout to Das, comes in by Venmo. He writes, "Peace of the saints. Thank you for being a great leader. I'm with you and ready for the inevitable revolution. You taught me how to correctly love myself. So for that, I owe you loyalty. Show love to those who show love to you." MDB. Absolutely. And that's really what it's about. It's about life change, life improvement, being happy, healthy, and wealthy. I'm trying to tell you. That's what life's about. Shout out to Hector coming in, supporting the work. Writes, "Peace to the saints." And it's funny because a lot of the folks supporting the work are Latino, are Asian, are white. This is a stream about Black people. They're still here. Tells you something. Tells you that the message is for all of God's people, or if you don't like God, all of the peoples of the earth. But it also tells you that the absence of Black people lets you know that the ignorance and the poison in their minds is so very deep, and it cannot be talked out. It must be ripped out. Yes. Shout out to Reginald. He writes, "First time tuition, keep leading from the front. Looking forward to the day I can send much more. Peace to the saints." Well, I appreciate you. Shout out to Reginald. He says this very first time. My respect. And I look forward to the day that we shake hands. I look forward to the day that you join one of the sections and you experience all of the improvement and growth that comes from being around elite men. We got guys in this thing of ours when they first joined, and I remember one of the guys, I won't say his name. We were in Las Vegas. I was hosting a boot camp, and we did a run at 3 a.m., 6 miles up a bunch of stairs. He said, that was my first time running over a mile. Now he's doing ultra marathons. These guys are running 50 miles straight. The growth is what we call it. Shout out to Jeremy, came in via PayPal supporting the work. May I also acknowledge Kalen. I recognize his name. He writes tuition. May I also acknowledge Ramon writes tuition. Peace of the saints. Good to see you back. May I also acknowledge via Stripe. Shout out to Gary. Gary's been pretty consistent as well. Shout out to David, who just joined on patreon.com/thesaintandthesinner. We welcome you warmly within this thing of ours. We have a global organization, a real organization where people get together regularly. We actually know each other. This is not an online thing. And most importantly, I want you to understand this piece is not about me. That's the most important thing, is that this is not about Marquett Burton. It's about you. It's about we. It's not about an individual. Because I tell you, at some point, they're going to get me up out of here. Yeah, they probably get me up out of here at some point. I ain't tripping. It is what it is. As Martin Luther King said, I ain't going to see the mountaintop, goddammit, but I'm going to point you in the right direction. But this is about we. One man, one Superman can't get the job done. But I teach you to have loyalty and respect for hierarchy, respect the organization, respect the structure, so that while I am here, I can lead the ship. And we have leaders in all of our regions. Respect and honor them. And when these devils try to get me up out of here, whoever steps up in the next place, follow him straight to the mountaintop. Shout out to Terrence. And I said him because men lead. Shout out to Terrence. Came in using the Stripe link. Appreciation and respect. I did drop the link. I don't see that gentleman who said he had wanted to join on. I'll paste that link in one more time. So I do want to honor the fact that he sent in his $20 to come on and express himself. For the young man who, I think he's from the Netherlands, he requested to come on. There's the link. You didn't provide your email address, so I couldn't return you an email. If you do send your email, I'll just email the link back to you. But either way, there's the link for you to come on. Give him a little bit of time as we wind down, sending your comments, questions, ties, tuition. And I thank those of you who have been here. It's always a pleasure. And one thing I know for damn sure is that the overwhelming majority of people who come in for a stream like this, this is the leadership class. These are the men who are serious, the women who are serious. There's a young lady who recently joined the Lady Saints. We do have a women's section in case you didn't know. If you're curious, you can message at the Lady Saints on Instagram. And shout out to all of our leaders around the world. Shout out to Diamond, who leads the Lady Saints. And she came in, and the first thing I told her, because we truly believe in family, everything we do is about family. I said to her, hey, what's the purpose and goal of your life? We want to know, if these are the right kind of people coming into this thing of ours. And she said, I want to get married. I want to have children. I said, perfect. You're in the right place. And, we welcome you within this thing of ours. And one thing I know for sure is we have a lot of upstanding men who are honest, who are great providers. And that's not the definition of a man. They just happen to be good earners because we're always talking about business, always collaborating on business within this thing of ours. And, good looking guys in great physical shape. So if you are qualified, it will be our pleasure. It will be my pleasure to make sure that you're with a worthwhile man, because a woman is not meant to be alone. You hear me? We are not meant to be isolated. We are meant to live in community. We're meant to build big, beautiful families. And that's what we facilitate. We don't just talk about this stuff. We organize, we facilitate. That's why when I say we, I'm talking about the assassin. I'm talking about the saints. I'm not talking about black people. I'm talking about the assassin or the saints. I'm talking about the specific movement, which follows a specific ideology, has a specific headquarters, and has sections all over the world. A real network that you can rely on. We have people who show up in Dubai and they'll tap in with the network. If you go to pieceofthesaints.com, you'll see we actually have we're transitioning to a new website, but we'll show you. So we have 8% of our membership on this website right here. The rest are on our existing websites. We're going to transition everyone over just to this one website. But the way we've designed it is so that you can actually, like wherever you're flying into, you can actually reach out to any of these people. And the neat thing is that we actually know our people. And so as a result, you have a useful network. Oh, sorry about that. Let me see. Make sure you guys can actually see. We're having some tech malfunctions. There we go. We have an actual useful network of people that are vetted, that we know their true name, their legal name. We have all of their information, and we have anecdotes that these are good people, and it's all documented and recorded. So if you're like, hey, Marquett, I'm going to the Philippines, I'm going to Dubai, I'm going to Belgium, I'm going to Brazil. Do we know anybody out there? Absolutely. And they'd love to meet you. That's the difference. And that's why I tell people, like, you got to live in reality. When you're talking about black people, where's the organization? Where's the network? Where's the support? Something bad happens to you. What are black people going to do? Nothing. That's the truth of the matter. I'm just living out here in reality. And I want you guys to know, and you heard it during the speech, we're in desperate times. You think ICE is not going to come for you because you're a black American. Okay, you can keep believing that. Have you not noticed you're the most hated? Out of everybody, they hate you the most. They weren't stringing up the Native Americans like that. The Native Americans weren't strange fruit hanging from trees. That was you, dummy. They hate you the most. You think they're not going to come for you. Stop it. Have you noticed them going to get the 500,000 white European immigrants, illegals who have overstayed visas? No, they're not doing that. They're not doing that at all. Okay? So you need to pay attention. I see someone tried to join below. Their camera is not connected, so I can't see their video, so they will not be permitted to come on. That may be the gentleman who paid to come on. That may be a jokester, more than likely a jokester. That's what this world is filled with. Shout out to Reginald. Came in via Venmo. For a second time, it looks like. He writes, good sir, I'm located in Philadelphia. Are there sections of the Assassin I can join here? What? Absolutely. As I said, the new website I just created and released within the last week or so. And it already shows that you have a good section of people over there. And I haven't finished building the thing. I'm still building. But the short answer is yes, absolutely. And the neat thing is you can tap in with the section. So I only put one section pin. I haven't gotten the rest up. So basically there'll be one for your area. You'll hit it and you'll see who's running the section and you can message them, or you could just engage any of the people that are around your section. So absolutely yes. Like there's a ton of people in your region. This is just one of our sites. We've not put everyone onto the new site. If you haven't gotten on the new site or you haven't been a member at all, peacetothesaints.com. We welcome you warmly within this thing of ours. We actually have something real, and it's been in operation for several years. And I think you can join by hitting the join button. That's pretty straightforward. For women is $20, which is cheaper than men because we don't expect women to be equal to men within this thing of ours. And if you want to get in at the low end, maybe you're a student, $24. And then if you want to boss up, you can try the other ones. But anyways, this will give you access to a whole bunch of stuff. One of the things I really appreciate about what I've been able to do with this site is that I've optimized it for what's important to you. So once you sign in at the top, it asks you to write your goal down because every man should have a goal. So you can write down your goal and then you can make entries on a regular basis to explain what you're doing to actually achieve your goal. So it's really optimized to help you. And of course you have the network. I know you came on previously for some clout. Did you not listen to the fact that that link was dropped specifically for the guy who sent in his $20 to come on?
Bro, come on, man. Let me speak to you, man. Let me drop some gems about MLK.
Jamie, I'm asking you a question.
Come on, dog. Stop acting like a bitch, though, man. Let's have a dialogue, nigga. What's up?
Jamie,
I want the smoke, nigga. Let's have a dialogue. Stop acting like a bitch, though, nigga. You gonna put my name and disrespect me in the title like that, though, nigga? What's up?
So again, this is the example of what I'm talking about.
Come on, man. Don't mute me, though, man. Let's have a conversation.
Example of what I'm talking about. Now, just imagine begging to talk to another grown man. Begging. And why is that? It's just to get attention. This is the era that we're in. And these kind of personalities, that should be an embarrassment. It should be an utter embarrassment, but there's no level of integrity as a man. I would be embarrassed to do something like that. We clearly said that only the people who send in their $20 are permitted. And we did that to stop the goofy people like him. Yet he still shows up. There's just no level of decency. Now, here's the thing. That's why I tell you, my movement is not for the black people. It's for all of the good people. Because what we just saw, that's pure evil. It's pure evil. He's an evil person. There's no goodness within him. He's dishonest. He's taking an opportunity that's not for him. He's foul-mouthed. He's vulgar. He's overweight. He represents personally all of the things that I despise and I speak against. Look at this animal. Look at this animal.
I'm overweight. I'm 100.
Look at this animal. Loud talking like
I'm
a woman.
100.
Look at this animal.
How am I overweight? I'm 182 pounds.
Let me ask you a question, Jamie. Jamie, if you wanted to come on and speak, Jamie, hold on one second. Young man, if you wanted to come on and speak, why didn't you just follow the rules, send in your $20 and your email address, and then I could email you the link? Why not follow the rules?
Okay, I didn't know that the people that was allowed to come on had to say $20. All I saw was you talking about MLK.
Okay, well, all right, I understand. Now, if you don't mind, if you do not mind, if you do not mind, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, though I don't think you're telling the truth, but I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
No, I'm telling the truth.
That's fine. Now, you can go and send your $20 and follow the process that every single other person follows. There's thousands of people watching. They're all following the same process. I'm going to let you show respect to your peers by following the same process if you would like to talk. Is that fair?
Okay. Can I respond? I'm not going
to. No, sir. Okay? No, sir. Is that fair?
Why are you yelling at me like that for?
Am I being fair to you by letting you follow the process that everyone else follows?
Yes, but can I respond to some of the things you said
No,
about me?
sir, you cannot. What you can do, though, is follow the process. And this, my friends, this is what happens when you don't have a father and your father does not set discipline. You think that you can do what you want. You think that you can get around. You think you can cut the corners. He won't respect the structure, you see? And here's the worst thing. I'm not the government. You don't need to try to cheat me. I haven't stolen taxes from you. I haven't enslaved your ancestors. I'm not the government. Why are we not treating one another with respect? You see, these are the kind of people, oh, my brother, my brother. I'm not your brother. Clearly, you can't engage me with respect. It's really a shame. Wild. Anyways, to the young man, Reginald, yes, absolutely. We have sections within your area. And most importantly, I see that you're a young man from your photograph. You're going to benefit greatly from this. Highly recommend it. There's nothing that will accelerate you more than having the good privilege of being around men who are honorable and who are moving fast in the correct direction. There's just no book that you can read. There's no course you can take that replaces being side by side with great men. Nothing. There's nothing that replaces that. Anyways, shout to Taylor. He writes, thank you for what you do, Saint. It's my pleasure. And I thank you for your support, because I can only do what I do because of those who support the work, those who are part of this thing of ours. I also acknowledge Brandon. He writes, Tuition, thank you for your work. I appreciate you, and I thank you for your support. I also acknowledge Frank came in via the Stripe link in the description of the video. Shout out to Trey as well, coming in using the Stripe link in the description of the YouTube video. Reginald came back a third time. He writes, thank you for the response. I will be joining. Peace and Saints. We look forward to welcoming you warmly within this thing of ours. It'll be one of the best decisions you've made. So many guys within this thing of ours, they're making a lot more money. They have the life that they want. They have the women that they want. You know, we really will hold you up and hold you to a standard and keep you inspired. Yes, it's really so sad. You know, black men are mentally weak and effeminate when I told them in advance what not to do. And then in the most childish and womanly and weasel-like way, they come on and ask for an exception. I'm here to tell you, there are no exceptions for men. You have to earn your way as a man. If you're a child or a woman, maybe we give you some freebies. We take you out for an ice cream. But I'm not taking you niggas out for an ice cream, okay? You niggas got to get your life together. I'm not taking you out for an ice cream. Shout out to Solomon, especially when I don't know you. Like, who are you? Weird looking dude. Shout out to Solomon. He writes, I'd like to come on. Fantastic. He even sent his email address. Excellent. You see, and the funny thing is that we so often talk about IQ, and I think a smaller thing we forget to talk about is the ability to listen. Yes, the ability to listen and follow directions. It's just so sad that so few people can do that basic. So I'm sending the gentleman the link. I trust that we'll be able to have a meaningful conversation with him. Okay, so Solomon, I did send you the link. Happy to have the conversation with you. I also acknowledge via PayPal. Shout out to Reginald. He writes, thank you. I appreciate you. And shout out to Reginald. He has a phenomenal product. And as I always tell you guys, I'm here to help. And I say show love to those who show love to you. Reginald is our executive in Atlanta, a very sophisticated young man. And he also has a product that he's come out with. It's a backpack briefcase, fine leather product, beautiful. I own several of them myself. And you can go to mdblabel.com or you can go to thesassin.com, THESASN.com. Click products and grab yourself a backpack briefcase. It's a great product for someone who doesn't want to look like a kid, right? Like with a JanSport backpack, you know, something that'll really boss you up. So I always want to make sure that I can promote these guys who have new products that they've created. And if you want to learn how to create a product, school.com/Marquett, click the course that says how to create your own product-based business with $500 or less. Anyways, we have Solomon here. Solomon! I personally cannot hear you. Maybe someone else can hear you. In the chat, would you all confirm if you can hear me?
Hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I had to just turn on my my mic. Hello, how you doing, Marquett?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I was able to see your live when I was walking to the store, so I was like, let me get an opportunity to say hello and then show my appreciation because I think I've been watching you since 2023, and I think this is my third time joining your lives. So
Yeah, I remember you were here just this week, right? Just this
yeah,
most
yeah,
recent week.
I was, yes.
No,
And
absolutely. I appreciate you being here.
I didn't get to see most of the stuff that was going on because I recently joined maybe like 20, 30 minutes ago.
Okay.
No, but
Oh, yeah.
I could definitely say since I started watching you, a lot of the stuff that you talk about, especially when it comes to men conducting themselves in a specific manner or having integrity or having some kind of gumption about you as a man when it comes to keeping your word or being, close to your family, your friends, and just having something to look forward to and becoming better. That definitely something I resonate with.
I appreciate you. And, the more we do that, not only will we be looked upon well, which is the smaller part, but the bigger part is that we'll receive better outcomes. When we can actually deliver the goods, we're going to get better women. We're going to have better business dealings. We're going to have a better reputation. And it is our effort not only to be able to do that, but, as the revolution moves forward, also those guys who are doing the opposite and misrepresenting us, because our skin color is almost like a uniform, we also have to eradicate them because, they got us looking bad out here.
Yeah, one thing I could definitely say when you said a lot of these people think that ICE is just only going after the specific individuals that they're going after. They're definitely, they're going to pick out on everybody, especially when they said that woman that they shot, they said, oh, she tried to run. I doubt it. I highly doubt that she tried to do that. But the fact that they would shoot not only, immigrants, Americans, and even ones that look like them, and then they just put in random people just with guns and just say, go have at it. It's
Listen,
just like
what people don't, you ever
like a
heard of the
movie.
Proud Boys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so there have been a number of racist organizations, typically of the white supremacist variety, and they seem to have disappeared. But what they've done is that they've reappeared in an ICE uniform. And this is not a new trick. We see that historically the Ku Klux Klan was wearing police uniforms, judge uniforms, legislative uniforms. And so they're now able to act out on their racist instincts. And we know that we also have a chief executive in the Oval Office who is himself a racist. And we know because he's removing the history of the Black American in this country. Now imagine having a history that is so violent, vicious, and gruesome that you don't even want to teach your kids about what you actually did. You're concealing the truth. But the fact is, only ignorant Black people suggest that ICE, which is to say the United States government, which is to say the same group that held your ancestors in enslavement, the same group that beat you guys when you tried to have a decent school or get you in the society, to think that that same institution, which has never changed, has been consistent throughout time, to think that all of a sudden they're going to let you slide. They're going to go get the Latinos, go get the Asians, get the Indians, get the Arabs, and let your Black ass slide. I mean, it's utterly ludicrous, but it shows that Black people in America still have not accepted that you are the most hated and you always will be the most hated. So you better acknowledge it and figure out a plan other than sitting back hoping for the best.
I think when it comes to situations like that, they're more so focused on playing victim than actually looking at the situation and trying to move on. Because I think I've seen you before say, instead of focusing on the past, let's focus on the future. Worrying about we used to be this, why are we worrying about us being kings and queens back then when we already know what the situation is right now? And then when it comes to them removing the people, I think it's more so they're trying to change the history because the children of those same racist people don't hold the same type of hatred and disdain. They're more so accepting. And once they understand what the true culture is, I think that could change how they move forward and won't pass. How like some children use their parents' decisions or actions as a way to be like, I don't want to be like that. If my dad was an alcoholic, I don't want to touch alcohol just because I see the hatefulness. You know what I'm saying?
I can't make any speculations on what other people will do, but what I can say is that those who call themselves Jews today, they were very wise to say, you guys can do what you want to do, but we're going to make sure that we're financially strong, that we're very unified, and we don't rat and snitch on each other, and we don't betray each other. And we're going to build our military, and we're also going to build our population. And I was considering doing a live on this, and I still may. But If you look at the developed nations, you'll observe that all of the, say, wealthy nations, better term, you look at the wealthy nations that are backed by fiat currency, most of them European Western nations, their birth rate, and also including South Korea and Japan, their birth rate is declining. It's not at or above replacement. Replacement would be 2.1 children per woman. It's well below. In cases like South Korea, these people are about to disappear shortly. And it's this new mode of living where you empower women too much. Women often have a wicked nature. Let me just be the first to admit it. And I stand by that, and I'll defend it, and I won't back down at all. That's the truth. But they misbehave when you let women have too much freedom. And that's why the birth rates are declining in every place that is developed and is backed by high, significant fiat currency. And those developed countries, they're too permissive. They let women do whatever they want. They let them dress like harlots, work jobs of men, earn and masquerade as men. And then in this female having a male psychology, which means dysfunctional psychology, then she doesn't want to behave like a woman, which is to have kids. So I say all that to say this: the only wealthy with fiat currency, not true wealth, which is in the earth, which is in Africa, the only country that has high wealth and has a birth rate per female above replacement, there's only two. One is Israel and one is Saudi. And Saudi is still kind of underdeveloped in some places, and Saudi is not as wealthy as Israel on a per capita basis, and they certainly are not as militarily effective. So that's how we can see that the Israelis have provided for their future. It's very smart. What holds them together? Ideas, ideology, at some level religion, but they're mostly atheists. And that's why people watch me and they don't realize genius in front of their face. When I talk about this ism, there are no black philosophers today. No one can name me a black philosopher. You can name me a black historian. You could name me a black parrot who parrots what other people say, but there are no black philosophers with their own ideas. So all you find are preachers and celebrities leading us, and they all follow either a white Jesus or a white philosopher called Marx or, something like that. And so what I'm actually doing is putting us on path to be safe and to be able to compete among the nations of the earth. I yield the floor.
No, especially when you bring up feminism, a lot of the times women don't really realize that a lot of their ideals or the things that they do is not even created by them. It's really when they don't even do the research. A lot of the times they act as if what they're doing is in their nature, but they complain about men are this or men are that, or we want to be equal. If you really wanted to be equal, you would understand that a life as a man, it comes with a lot of responsibility, and it comes with a lot of ups and downs that most women are not prepared for because they're not used to earning a lot of things, especially if it's a beautiful woman. Sometimes she just doesn't really realize until she hits either the wall or she starts to decline in the amount of people that want her. And then when it comes to Israel and how they have their stuff connected with their people don't really look at the history and how they came to be, and they don't understand how they infiltrate the banks or move as a unit. And a lot of times people like to say, oh, these people are controlling this, or this person's in the Illuminati, or this person's doing this, but you're just talking. You're not gonna, like you say, a lot of people want to look at Martin Luther King or want to look at Malcolm X, but nobody wants to be in front of them and take the bullets as well. Most people just want to talk about it, but nobody wants to be in front street and like have a dialogue or a conversation or even show like appreciation for somebody that's willing to go out there in your behalf. You know what I'm saying? Even though you don't have to.
Oh, 100%. I've lost millions. You hear me? I've lost literal millions, not figurative fake millions, like actual real millions. And here's the funny thing. Like, and even those who are a part of our race, this is why, like, I'm not a racist, because the race thing doesn't work very well. Look at this ball right here. This ball doesn't even have enough he doesn't have enough respect.
What's up, Marquett?
Jamie, did you send in your $20?
Marquett, I don't want to argue with you. I just want to have a conversation
I'm asking
with
you,
about
Jamie.
MLK.
Jamie, you're not going to violate my rules. You're going to follow the rules, or you're going to disappear.
I seen you $20 to have a conversation with you. You're supposed to be a man, right?
No, sir. No, sir. You're not going to try to gaslight. Oh, see, this is the best example.
You acting like a bitch ass nigga.
These are if anyone sees Jamie, if anyone sees Jamie do God's work, If anyone sees Jamie, do God's work. Do God's work if you see Jamie. And if you can get some footage, send it to me on IG. You heard me? That's my whole point, is you still are going to have the ones that behave like animals. They're not civilized. And until we can eradicate those from the body, from the black body, the head will suffer because we will be pulled in different directions. Like that boy is a poison, completely psychotic and deranged, that one. Really sick person. Let's take a look at this. Trump has banned a number of countries, right? So I think this is what people aren't privy to. So it says, who is affected by Trump's suspension of immigration visas? Okay, so we're in America, so America doesn't count, right? Because America is the country that's accepting the visas. So all of this red, it might look like a lot of countries. No, it's just mostly that's just Russia. Russia is a massive landmass. So that's just Russia. Russia is our public enemy. So there's that, right? Okay, cool. That makes sense. Then we know that Brazil is a part of BRICS. So they are directly going against domination of the dollar. So we get that. If you ask which continent has the highest number of countries that are being banned, and mind you, for no reason, it's Africa. All these different countries are being banned. Well, you'd have to ask yourself, well, why is that? And then if you look at, well, who's not being banned? Look at Europe. All of Europe is good to go. All of Europe is welcome in America, apparently. Now, that's funny because we're currently having issues with the Europeans now, aren't we? Engaging a minor trade war. We have a potential military conflict with NATO. But yet they can still come on in here. Why? Because they're white. Because they're white. And they are sticking together, which is not necessarily something they've always done. You have ignorant blacks that are often saying goofy things like, we don't stick together like the whites. The whites don't stick together. Like they stick together sometimes. And they especially stick together to validate white supremacy for sure, generally speaking. But they don't always stick together. Neither do the Arabs. So these are lies, but what we are noticing is that Trump is organizing policy around keeping the blacks out, not letting them come in. And then the ones that are here, the people of color, they're getting them out. And if you're a black immigrant, that's why I'm saying the Somalis are a major target. You notice any city or place is targeted as much as this one black town? And I know the Somalis, some of them with a big forehead ass don't consider themselves black, but I think by mere fact of you guys being targeted so hard, we can see that you're viewed as black by somebody. I yield the floor.
I think when it comes to them being open to Europeans, I think you said one time they're declining, especially not just because of birth rate, but with ideology and their influence. And it's easier. I had this conversation with my friend where I said, if you see a lot of the stuff that happen outside the United States when it comes to war, especially what the soldiers are being put to do, and then those refugees from those countries come to our country, now they're infiltrated from the inside. So of course they would be in panic to remove everybody right now, because as you're focused on China, you're focused on Russia, you're focused on every other country, but you got to remember all the people that you let in. You let in a lot of individuals that probably have some kind of vendetta against the United States people and the government because of certain, wars that were occurred for either money, gain, or whatever political advantage that the government could have. So that also
that's a complex picture, because if you look at the United Kingdom, they've had a lot of issues with their citizens, white citizens, leaving the United Kingdom and going into one particular organization. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
And a lot of citizens, they convert to Islam and then they go join this one organization that you don't hear much about anymore.
Yeah,
ISIS.
when it comes to ISIS, okay.
ISIS, yeah. And you guys can look it up. There's whole documentaries on this. You got white, redhead, blonde, white girls joining ISIS. They get recruited on the internet. They convert to the Deen of Islam. They get radicalized in the local masjid, and then they go off to fight against the Western powers. And, at some level, they may have a legitimate cause. But here's the thing. If you're in a diverse nation, you really can't export your domestic problems, because there may be white people who are radicalized against you. There used to be a group in the United States called the Weather Underground. And I probably should do a review of them because they're really a fascinating group. And I think it's because they were so unique that the United States has kind of kept them out of popular consciousness. Let me see if I can find them real quick. So the United States makes sure that you don't learn about certain groups It's because they don't want copycats, you know. Let me see if I can find this on YouTube just to give you a little sample of it. But further, what I was saying with regards to them exporting the people that they think could be potentially problematic. Well, what about the ethnic Chinese? I went to the University of California, Berkeley. It's 44% Chinese. The Chinese are certainly our greatest foe, our most legitimate foe. All of the Chinese at some level are radicalized because they go to something called Chinese school. They learn the Mandarin language and sometimes Cantonese in addition. They learn Chinese history and culture. The Chinese are very proud nationalistic people. And many of them were actually foreign nationals from China. They come in as international students. So many people who study the most prestigious degrees in universities are Chinese. They're taking degrees in nuclear engineering and much else. And so, and in some cases, they work for Raytheon, they work for Lockheed Martin, they work for the United States government. And even Canada's a funny example. They had a government official in Canada who was Chinese and had the most heavy Mandarin accent. I was like, is this person Canadian? What the hell? So at some level, how did they miss the Chinese? Like, why are the Chinese not being kicked out in mass? Like, are they not our current biggest enemy? So we really have to think twice about what's really going on. You know, why the Somalis? Like, the Somalis in America haven't had an open issue since Black Hawk Down. Though the United States government has funded al-Shabaab and various other terror organizations throughout the planet Earth, but a direct conflict with Somalia and a lot of these places being war-torn and dysfunctional, Yemen, etc. You know, people don't want to live there. Everyday people are not revolutionaries. Everyday people are not, you know, terror cells. Everyday people want, you know, to be able to eat good food and be in comfort. They're not radicalized. I mean, I can't even radicalize people on YouTube to watch me on Twitch, you know, because YouTube's a censorship corporation. So most people are not proactive. So I think the government dramatizes a lot of these things. But one thing is for sure, in terms of the European or the white ruling class throughout the world, is that if they'd stop going to the countries of people of color and destroying their homelands with endless war, then these people would not come to your doorstep. They'd stay in their countries. And this is true even in places where you don't see overt war like Latin America. You can see countless numbers of coups that were all directly driven by the Central Intelligence Agency. And so that is largely why we have the issue, is because of the imperialism of the white ruling class, which has not changed at all. It's been consistent through time, which would constitute constitutes their nature. Look at this psychopath right here. Do you have a therapist? Do you have a therapist? Have you ever seen a therapist?
No.
You have not? You should get one. This guy's sick. What's wrong with this kid? It's really sad, these people. Now, if anyone, and people sometimes say, Marquett, you're too extreme. You can't say that you should take people like this out. What's the solution? What's the solution to someone like that? There's only one solution. There's only one solution. And the problem is that you don't have enough love and enough manliness to execute the solution. That's the problem with black people. They don't have enough love and enough manliness. Well, Marquett, what do you mean love? Love, you have to protect the family, protect the tribe. Psychopaths like that are dangerous to the tribe. I love the tribe enough that I'm going to protect them. Enough manliness that I can do what is necessary. And historically, black people don't want to do what is necessary. That's why we sign on to Martin Luther King so easily when he's talking about this kumbaya. Kumbaya, nigga? Did you not see when they would cut off the scrotum, cut off the phallus of the black man, and then hang his dead body up, and then have a picnic and eat food and take pictures with his dead body? You think those people are humans? You want to make up with those people? When slavery ended, how many of those people saw justice? You want to make up with those people? They're animals, they're savages, they're beasts. And you are so stupid that you would take those people to be human. You would live among those people. And some goofy blacks break their neck to look like whites, to live among whites. The black woman is so lost. They want to bleach their hair blonde. They want to straighten out their hair so they can look like the person who hates them. It's extraordinary. And those women, when we see those wigs, we should snatch those wigs, rip those damn wigs from their scalp. I don't care what the consequences are. Because you truly have to be a sick person to have a group of people enslave you, take advantage of you and your kids for hundreds of years, and then think that they're all right. Boy, that's evil if I ever saw evil. You kidding me? I yield the floor.
Yeah, I think when you speak about Black women and how they dress like them, they put the makeup and the hate that they have for themselves, I think that's the easiest way to destroy a person, is to have access to their mind and just leave their body strong. You know what I'm saying? Like how they did with the slaves. And I think in one of your videos you were talking about how you have a disdain for when the Black community says you're invited to the cookout, because they don't have no not self-respect, but they don't have no understanding that every other culture, they keep themselves tight and they keep everybody out. So it's more so like certain things shouldn't be allowed, even though I could understand you don't mean no disdain for it. But if we allow you to appropriate with our culture, it could eventually lead to certain situations, like how you said with the gentleman earlier. You said there's certain things that are not allowed, because if you look at a lot of rebellion when it came to slave times, there were certain individuals that revolted against breaking free because they were scared,
Yes.
or they didn't want to they were comfortable with the situation. So instead of going and putting themselves at risk and sacrificing themselves for the future, they'd rather say, you know what, I'd rather be in this situation because I'm comfortable and I know what I'm facing, versus the unknown, where it's like freedom is there and you're aware of it, but I'd rather be okay with being this because your mind is destroyed but your body is strong.
That's
You know what
right.
I'm saying? So that's how
100% accurate. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I encourage people to take what I'm saying seriously. One, because I might not be able to say too much more for too much longer. But the truth is, we have to have such high levels of self-regard and self-respect for ourselves, for our families, for our hierarchy, that if someone curses or disrespects your father, if they curse or disrespect your family, you take it seriously and you make sure that there are consequences. You see, with the white collective, you notice that they absolutely make sure that there are consequences. When that Ukrainian girl was stabbed on that commuter train, which I think is a tragedy, I think that guy should have been put to the electric chair because he seemed like an unrepentant psychopath. And I say that with him being Black, he should have been put to the chair because he was a nut. But the white folks did not acknowledge that that woman was Ukrainian. She's a foreigner, not even American. Probably shouldn't have been here. Low key, ICE should have got her ass up out of here. But she was white. And because of that mere thing, the white community came out to support the Charlie Kirks. All of those rascals came out and condemned that Black man, and they wanted him to suffer. They wanted him to suffer. And all I'm saying is we should be the exact same way, probably more serious, because we're coming from a deficit. And that's why I say that Jamie kid earlier today, he is not going to insult our organization, our hierarchy, and definitely not the leadership. We should deal with him because he's one of our own, and we'll deal with our own. And be clever when you're doing it. If you happen to get some good footage and send it over, I'd love to see it. But we need to deal with him. We ain't letting nothing slide out here, because if we don't respect ourselves, if we don't protect ourselves, no one will. So we must give out those demos. We must establish, let people know this is what it is. This is how we're moving. Because if you look historically in America, no one's protected us except us. No one's protected us except us. Do you remember when the police were not here to protect us? They were here to keep us out of opportunity. They were here to stop us from drinking water at water fountains, stop us from going to restaurants, stop us from enrolling in school. The police are not here for us. We have to be our own police. You see? Anyways, I thank you for having come on, Solomon. It's always a pleasure to have this time to fellowship with you. Until next time.
All right. Peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm well. What's on your mind, sir?
So my name is Fido, and I wanted to thank you for all your input you have been doing for the last couple of years. I've been following you quite a few times now. I live in the Netherlands, so if my English is not really that good, my apologies.
That's okay. Most Black folks barely speak English. Go ahead.
True.
Yeah.
But the great difference that you made was that you talked about the males and the men. There is a lot of males like that Jamie guy over here that continued to joining while I was figuring out how to join this live. So I want to talk to you about something that's been on my mind quite recently. You said there's a quite difference between a male and a man. So how does someone transition from being a male into a man? Because when you take responsibility, you lead your family or your how do you call it again? Your family or your people behind you that makes you a leader, right? So what else can you do to transition from a male into a man in your eyes, in your belief system?
Give me one second. Let me block psychopaths in our chat. And I would like to let you guys know, when someone comes on to have a conversation, if you're grown and commenting on someone else's looks needlessly, this is just silliness. So I have blocked you. And I encourage you guys to use common sense and masculinity, not to be feminine. We're in a sick world. We have the ability, like the people who become famous today, I find to be so concerning. There's one little white guy, I forget what his name is, and really I wouldn't even state it if I could remember it. He's a little white guy. He wants to look like a Barbie doll. And his thing is telling people what surgeries they need. And he's hopped up on all of these medications. He's taking testosterone pills and all of this stuff. And it's like, this guy is behaving like a woman, doing everything that a woman does. All these surgeries, all of these things to enhance. A man's self-esteem comes from the inside, based on knowing what you actually are and what you're capable of being developed. And it's not variable. Your self-esteem as a man does not get manipulated, changed, or altered based on the external world, because you're solid. Whereas the woman, the reason they have to put on the makeup and they have to dress up and put on the high heels and lie about who they are is because their self-esteem and self-worth comes from the external world. It comes from people saying you're pretty, or people looking at them feeling sexually attracted. So that's number one. I got a 3 cents Bible. Be yourself, be good to yourself, be good to good people. Number one, be yourself. You can only be yourself when you know what and who you are. So making a study of yourself as the individual and also study of yourself contextually. Oh, well, where do I come from? What is my ethnicity? You know, you're in the Netherlands, but clearly probably your folks are perhaps from somewhere in West Africa.
The Suriname that's above Brazil.
Suriname. Oh,
yeah.
South America.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it Paramaribo?
Yes, Paramaribo.
Aha. Okay, very good. Excellent. And so in that case, he's like, well, how do you track your ancestry back to West Africa or wherever you may come from? You know, knowing those things about yourself is important. And then I often remind people that honesty is where all virtue follows from. Can you be honest? Can you be true to yourself? For example, you might have a young man. There's a difference between a male and a man. You have a young man who doesn't drink alcohol. It's not his thing. But he's with a girl that he finds to be very attractive. He wants to enjoy some physical time with the girl. And so he takes her out and, you know, he's at the bar and, you know, she wants to drink and do shots. Now, he doesn't drink, but he's a young man. He's still not certain of himself. So he ends up drinking with her so that he can hit the skins because he thinks that's going to get her slizzard and remove her inhibition. And so he sacrifices who he is to get something. He cheapens himself. He makes an exchange of integrity to get some other outcome. This is womanly. This is why they sell their bodies. They often sell their dignity. That's why they can be on OF. Men, we don't move. We don't budge. We are the rock. We are the solid thing. We are what everything else organizes around. So as a man, if the young lady wants to go to a bar, you probably tell her, no, I don't go to bars. It's not my thing. True. Let's go here. Let's go there. Or if for some reason you go to the bar and she says, hey, take a shot with me. But you could take a shot. Marquett Burton doesn't take shots. I don't drink poison, and I surely wouldn't pay to be poisoned. That's crazy.
Exactly.
And you leave it right there. And if she doesn't want to deal with you as a result, fantastic. It was a pleasure to meet you. And there's no emotions in that because you know who you are, and you don't feel like you've lost anything with her parting because you are the true value and you know it. You're not guessing that you're valuable. You know you're valuable. I yield the floor.
True. Like what you said is exactly a lot of times it happened with me because I'm 27 years old. I don't look like it, but I'm 27 years old. I've been in a lot of cases that people want to get me with a system, go out, go drink, party, but I'm not doing that. I'm on my mission. I'm grinding. I'm building my business. All my focus is on that. Not even females, not even women, nothing like that. So that's one of the things that I really respect about you because you also installed it into me when you was talking about the Fresh and Fit podcast, when you was talking about as a man what you should do and what you should not do. That's when it really clicked for me, that integrity thing that you just talked about, that really resonated with me because I also am part of being the person that also don't corrupt himself for other people's pleasures. So yeah, I guess that makes me one step more into the into the transition of being a man, because in my belief system, I believe I'm a man, but I can think for myself. But like you say, you how do I pronounce it? Pronounce it very good. When you know what you stand for, like you just said, then everybody around you also knows that. But that's one thing with me, because when I'm just looking for the right person in me, because I'm still developing myself, sometimes it's just a little bit shaky of what turn I'll be taking into the right or wrong direction. So how or what can I do in order to not get detached from the way from where I'm going, to keep the focus, not to get distracted by things like other people's opinion, other people's influences, but because the more money you make, the more you go up in life, right? Like you said a few podcasts away. Because now I'm like in the category of making almost 10,000 a month, but when I'm transitioning into the level of making 1,000 euros every month, there will be a lot of different people. So how do I not lose myself from being this person also transitioning into the next level? Do you know what I mean? It's really
I do.
difficult to me.
I do. So number one, in Boss University, that's where we talk a lot about what's going on in your head, what's going
Mm-hmm.
on in your internal world.
Yeah.
I have other programs where I talk about dealing with the outside world. What you're talking about is all the internal game. You
Mm-hmm.
see, it's very easy to tell the woman, I don't drink, when you've already decided that before you even showed up to the date. You already knew what the answer was. And that's based on what you identified in terms of your value set. Here's another thing. There are people you can choose to be around, and there are all the other people you should choose not to be around. And you may feel as though you might miss out on some opportunity or some this or that. No, you're missing out on things that are not meant for you. So as you ascend economically, there will be groups of people you could be around. You could be invited to a Diddy party, and you might say, you know what? There may be a lot of famous people there that I could network with, but that's not the kind of party I want to go to. Then maybe a week after, your buddy went to the party. He's like, oh, I met so-and-so, I met this producer, I met this filmmaker, and you see his career going up and up and up and up. And then 3 years later, you see everyone's going to jail who was at that Diddy party. And you're like, before you're like, damn, this guy made $10 million, $15 million because he went to the Diddy party, he met so-and-so, and he got this part or he got this song. And now he's in prison because he was at that Diddy party that you didn't go to because you had values, morals, and principles. Not everything is meant for everyone. Knowing in advance who you are and what you stand for, it reduces the necessity to answer a lot of questions. There's certain questions you don't need to answer. Am I going to go to this party? What's happening at the party? Drinking and smoking and cocaine? No, I'm not going. I don't even need to think. Then here's another piece to it. The company you keep is absolutely critical in defining who you are today and who you'll be tomorrow. When you spend a lot of time around people, you may begin to dress like them. You may begin to speak like them. You may begin to earn like them. And you have to ask yourself, are these the kind of people I want to talk like, I want to dress like, and I want to earn like? And there's nothing wrong with, getting game from people or having them rub off on you. That's natural human society. If you ever come to any of our events, you'll find like, man, everybody's suited and booted. Why? Because birds of a feather flock together. We're all dressed up. We're the same kind of person. So you always have to ask yourself, is this person like me? Is this person like someone I want to be like? Is this group meant for me? And you have to make that decision before you show up. So you can show up with the decisions already made. So when they ask you, you have the answer. When they badger you, the answer doesn't change. When they repeat the question, the answer doesn't change. Because here's the thing about the devils. Oh, hey, man, just take this shot. Nah, I'm good. I don't drink. Oh, man, this isn't even strong. Nah, I'm good. Oh, man, they mixed this with some juice. It doesn't even taste that bad. Nah, I'm good. Oh, man, don't worry. I'll drive you home. No, I'm good. Here's the thing. Personally, I'm not going to let them ask me that many times because 9 out of 9, the way I look at them and answer the second time, the first time I was polite. The second time I was like, you're actually offering me poison with like some vigor. And so the way I answer on that second time is probably going to be the last time they ask me. But you have to know the answer in advance. You can't show up and try to figure out who you are as a man. You got to know before you show up, which is to say, you need to know the script before you show up on the set and they say action. Anyways, Boss University, it deals with your mind, your internal world. It gives you timeless lessons that make you a boss. Here's the key. First, boss of yourself. Self-control. The problem is if you're not the boss of yourself, when you show up in that environment, everyone else can become the boss of you. Make you drink. Make you do things you shouldn't do. That's the whole ball game. Number 1, become the boss of yourself. Number 2, you be the boss of all things you survey.
Thank you.
Pleasure to meet you. Definitely tap in with the section up there. We got very good brother over there in Belgium, number of saints in Northern Europe. In fact, I was just in Sweden a couple weeks ago, and I was just out jump roping, and a guy was like, "Oh, Peace of the Saints." So we got some good brothers up there.
Nice. I look forward to joining the Boss University, like you said. I've been reading books also, like at least one book every 2 to 3 weeks, which also recommend me some, because now what I've been really into is crucial conversations, because like you just said, to explain myself in English and explain myself in certain situations is sometimes difficult for me. So that's why I decided to develop myself in that area so I can ascend to the next level, like you just said.
Yes. I wouldn't recommend you any books, and this is something I talk about in Boston University, especially someone like you. You say you've been reading a book every 2 to 3 weeks. Books are not going to change your life that much. And I've read a lot of books. I really have. I've read a lot of books. They will make you maybe more effective in debate, or it'll improve the way that you think about certain things. But increasingly in this era, books are produced too slowly. The process to write that much knowledge and then have it published and distributed, by the time that knowledge comes out, the world may have changed. That's the world we're in today. Publishing, the process is too slow. If I were to write a book today about technology, by the time it's released, there will be different technology. I don't think books are as of use, and I think the intelligentsia and the learned class will have some new thing that they sign off on as like the holy grail of knowledge, but it's not books. I promise you, it's too slow, especially if you're reading trade related books and you're in the most important trade, which is tech. Maybe reading books on plumbing. Plumbing hasn't changed very much over the last half century, but other things it has. Look at this psychopath. Desecrating the dead. I'm reporting your channel. Report this D in your mouth too. You dig? And when you say, how do you deal with these people? You laugh at them. You just laugh at them. Because there will be many devils who will do everything to take you down. And it's mostly because you're a good person. It's mostly because you're doing the right thing. It lets you know that you're relevant and you're on the right track. And that is why you have the evil doers and the devils trying to hurt you. Because imagine, they don't go into rap music videos that are portraying black women as harlots and go report that, right? They don't go on to any other content form and report these things that are actually detrimental. So these people will always be here, but it's about your focus. Where focus goes, energy flows. And so I focus on the people who are doing the correct things. I focus on the situations that I want. I say goal-oriented, eyes on the prize.
And how do you take steps into the goal that you want to achieve? Take me with you into your process. How do you, for yourself, set the goals? What is your plan to achieving them? And yeah.
And again, I don't want to belabor anything or seem like I'm selling Boss University. It's just that I also don't want to repeat myself, number one. And then number two, I don't want to tell you something verbally in short form that's more actually fleshed out. So if you asked me about goals. How do I achieve my goals? In Boss University, we literally talk about what we call sprints. We talk about how many days out your goal should be. We talk about the motivation. And so what I could tell you in short is not going to quite get you there, but it's a pleasure to meet you. And the parting advice I can give you, especially with regards to books, is that being around smart people is like reading 100 books. So take action on that one. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Until next time.
Until next time, thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely. Peace to the saints. Hello, Chris. Did you send in your $20 in your email address?
I'm gonna have to leave and come back in because I can't hear you.
Okay. Fascinating. Let me know some of the folks supporting the work. Shout out to Melvin, who came in using the Stripe link. I also acknowledge Gabriel supporting using the Stripe link as well. Shout out to Mr. Hernandez, who just became a member at peacetothesaints.com. May I also acknowledge Christian. He writes, you haven't told a single lie during this live session. He says, appreciate you came in by demo. May I also acknowledge Darren. Shout out to Darren, always consistent. He writes, tuition, peace of the saints. Good, brother. I was actually just talking about you recently. Jim, Fits Outlet, right? Jamie is a prime example of why you don't deal with broke or ugly people. Peace of the saints, brother, you ain't lying. Because he's both. Isn't that crazy? And you guys think I'm joking, but I'm dead serious. People who are broke and or ugly are dangerous. They're evil. They're actually evil. Stay away from them. Shout out to Leon. He writes, appreciate your time. I appreciate you, Leon. You're welcome and thank you. Okay, very good. I think we're all caught up there. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to have this time in fellowship. I find it very comical that there have been so many people who come on the live stream and they did the directions in advance, and these people are users, and I will not be here to be used by you. I also will not expose you to tens of thousands of people so that you can disrespect their time. And I always encourage the audience, if anyone ever sneaks on, if I'm ever feeling generous, stop me from being generous. And always ask me, is this person a member? Because if they're not a part of this thing of ours, they're nothing. We stay sassy or nothing. If they're not sassy, they're nothing. So do stop me from being generous, because myself, just like you have generous nature. That we call you saints. But the problem is that we're in a world that is not based on goodness. We're in a world where people are dishonest, they're wicked, they're thieves. So we have to protect ourselves from these kinds of people, unfortunately. We can only be generous within our families and within our community, because so often we encounter these harlots and these kind of males who are dishonest and beggars. So, what can you do? Chris, how are you?
Peace to the saints. I'm great, actually.
To hear, peace to the saints. Did you send in your $20 to come on?
Yes, I did.
Okay, what'd you send it in under?
Cash App.
I do see. Shout out to Mackenzie, who came in by Cash App supporting the work. He writes, look forward to this speech every year. Shout out to Mackenzie. And I know Mackenzie's been building great relationships in the SAS, and that's a beautiful thing. You sent it in by Cash App. I don't have that one. So let me take a look. What cash tag did you send that to?
Marquett Burton, the LLC.
That's fascinating. Let me see right here. I think I see it too. Because that goes to the fan channel, which I have no problem with. Shout out to the fan channel, which is Marquett on Business. And I do see it right here. So absolutely, the gentleman's true to his word. What's on your mind, boss man?
Not much. I joined in the live late, so I didn't catch the premise.
Are you over in Chicago?
Yes, sir.
I'm so sorry. I did not want to say your location. I apologize. I just got excited because I recognize your name, but we haven't talked before, right?
No, sir.
Yeah, we haven't had the pleasure of talking. So it's a pleasure to meet you. I always try to keep a sense of who's in what section. So it's a pleasure to meet you, and I always love to meet the actual members. I can't meet everyone, so it's my pleasure. So peace of the saints.
Peace to the saints. That's a great introduction to meet a man of your caliber. Yeah, so I jumped in the live late, so I don't know if it was a premise on why you asked people to come online. I don't want to.
Oh yeah,
I know
sure.
people definitely sneak in.
Yeah, sure. We were talking about Martin Luther King, and this session every year we do an annual speech, and it changes based on the circumstances of that year. Most recently, We've had the circumstance of ICE, black poverty is nothing new. And so we kind of took those two things into account in talking about how black folks can grow, which goes to the fundamentals of self-knowledge and also hierarchy and respect for the family, which is to say a patriarch leading the family. And then thirdly, black people understanding business and also keeping the dollar within their community. And lastly, they have to know that you have to actually have a community, and mostly they don't because there's no organization and there's no leadership. And so folks were calling in, they had objections or things to add to the discussion.
Yeah, I would say that I think because I'm not in Chicago, I'm not based in Chicago anymore. I'm in the area.
Very good.
So
I
it's
feel a
all right.
little bit better about accidentally saying
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
thoughtless. You have to forgive me about that.
No, you're fine. I'm Chicago. I'm raised from Chicago, so I wasn't worried about if anybody ran up on me and you support the Saints. Oh yeah, I definitely do.
Appreciate you.
But yeah, no, I just think that there's a lot of definitely divisiveness that kind of separates us as a community. You got before I jumped in the live and I knew what the premise was, I think that I was going to kind of bring up the Antoine Daniels thing and
Sure.
the fact that, you have like people like him where you can see him being productive in the world, but until you take a deep dive or you see an incident like him and the Corey Holcomb incident, you wouldn't necessarily kind of cast him off as like, I can't follow him. So I would say like my question would have been is there a way to spot them easier, or would you be able to come up with some type of lecture or talk for us young people? And I'm not even I'm young, but I wish I had this information like more so when I was 19. So I guess for the up and coming young men that could actually spot out what a black role model is. I know for yourself, I know the number one thing that you would say is actually producing and being a doer, so them actually not being able to commit to making a organization or any type of actual thing besides YouTube, that would be like an answer. But I mean,
That's a meaningful question. So one, history is a teacher, and in looking at Antoine's history, I tried to pull up his history, and it was absent pretty much, which would indicate that he pretty much, like, YouTube has been his bread and butter in terms of his foundation in life, which doesn't make him a bad person. And frankly, I know a couple people who watch Mr. Daniels' content, and up until they saw that behavior he displayed, they had respect for him. Myself, I never watched his stuff. I found it a little bit boring and like dry. But I respect the focus on business. I respect the focus on accountability. And as I said, I was at the Win many years ago. I think it was in 2020. So it was either in 2019, 2020, or 2021. I can't remember. But I was in the Win. My assistant was there, and he came up and paid his respects and seemed to be an upright person. And so I had no major issue with him. But to answer your question directly, we always want a shortcut, and some things there is no shortcut for. The truth is that sometimes, the girl's going to lie to you about being promiscuous. She's going to lie to you about her background. She's going to put on a great act, and you don't find out till a year and a half later. And the fastest way to find out was to spend a year and a half with her. That was the fastest way. Sometimes he puts up a great act and, pretends as though he's an honorable man, and you don't find out until you get to measure him up against another man. And that's one of the things that's really important that people don't understand is that, when you look at, say, people like Ben Shapiro or Nerd Fuentes, people think like, oh, that guy's so smart, he'll win any debate. It's like, and as soon as I go up, if we're in the same room and we're debating, like, they're not as smart as I thought they were. But that's because you're looking at them in isolation. And with an Anton Daniels, you're looking at him in isolation. He's by himself giving a talk, and he's often doing reactions. Or what I've observed with him is he'll bring people on for his panel show, but they're all like nobodies. So it's like a bunch of black women who are only there because he has money. They wouldn't deal with a guy like him for any other reason except that he has money. And then it's a bunch of nobodies. And so he's there as like the center of attention. So he's orchestrated a situation in which he's going to dominate and be the center. And it's because we're looking at things that are orchestrated that we can't see what is really there. But the most important thing, Chris, is that when you learn the truth, do you move quickly, right? So it's like when we learn that so-and-so's a sucker, this person's fake, this chick is promiscuous, this chick doesn't follow directions, do we move quickly to show that we've learned? There's one young lady I was dealing with, black woman, and I told her, I gave her a particular direction. And she said, no, I can't do that. I said, but you told me that you're an obedient woman. She was like, yeah, I could do anything, but I can't do that. I said, okay, so let me tell you something. For all of your days, I will be a stranger to you. There will be no turning back. You will have one chance to comply. And if you're not complying in this moment, there's no do-over. So if you're not going to comply, you're done. And you're done for all time. There will be no apology. There's no makeup. No, I can't do that. Okay, cool. Great. You're a stranger. Go away. Of course, she come back. And then she's either like, oh, well, what about this other girl you had? Like, you had told her to do this and that. That has nothing to do with you. You don't even know what's going on with that situation. What I told you was final. I cut her off immediately the day I said, and I never looked back. I never gave any ground. I never went back on my word. So the moment I realized that she was truly disobedient, now there's some women that they're women. They're going to say things that are inaccurate. They're sometimes going to flat out lie. They're sometimes not going to do what you ask them to do. But when you find out that they are fundamentally disobedient, leave immediately. Or with a guy, if you find out that he is fundamentally in lack of integrity, morals, respect, loyalty, leave immediately. I can only think of one guy that I cut off and never looked back. I've mostly been able to choose well, but the guy that I cut off and never looked back, his name's Nick Najad. He's a sucker. And I did so much for him. I took care of the kid so well. And I'd known him for several years. And long story short, and I talk about this in one of my songs, but long story short, I was dating this one chick, bad, super bad. And I'm the big homie, man. I be looking out for people. My old lady was like, hey, I want to go on a cruise. I was like, set it up. So she sets up the cruise, pays for me. And she's like, hey, do you mind if I bring some of my girlfriends? I was like, bring them. She was like, do you want to bring any of your friends? I was like, nah, I don't care. It doesn't really matter. And Nick was right there with me when she's asking me this. And he's like elbowing me. He's like, bro, like throw me in the game. Now, here's the thing. Nick's probably about like 5'6", right? I'm tall. My old lady's tall. Her homegirls are tall. So I wasn't even trying to set him up for an L. So I was like, all right, bro, come through. So he comes through. Now me being the big homie, I'm playing the background. I'm telling my girl like, hey, which one of your homegirls will throw it at him? You heard me? Like, which one could he get it in with? Because we on the cruise, right? It like we know where you sleep and everything. Like it's just the math is there to make it. He has a high opportunity. So I get him set up with this chick who's like 6 inches taller than him. You heard me? She like 6'1". Nice little piece too. He go ahead and take her down. Not because he's that guy, but because the big homie arranged it. You feel me? So I was just showing the bull mad love. But this has been for years. I was showing the bull mad love. So then after the cruise, like bro's like DMing my chick, right? Now, mind you, I don't even DM my chick. I don't even DM shorty. Her birthday come around. Like me, like y'all be thinking I be playing games. Like I'm not really into like birthdays and anniversaries, like all this extra stuff. Like I ain't really into it. Her birthday come around. This nigga done got a whole spread from her. I'm like, yo, what is this nigga on? So then every time the nigga message, she like forward it to me like, oh, hey, this is what he said. This is what he sent, right? He don't even know. And I'm not really tripping because I'm going to just keep it player. I don't really look at little buddy as a threat because I'm like, I showed you so much love like a son. You heard me? Like, I wouldn't even think you betray me. Like, nigga, I showed you more love than anybody ever have showed you. So then I forget what the last straw was, but like it would bother my old lady when he would do it because he's like, if she were to cheat, it wouldn't be with a nigga like that. You know, like you really got to be the big dog, right? This would be a major downgrade. So she's over like, yo, what's up with buddy? I'm like, all right, I got it. So I'm like, hey, bro, like just knock it off. And this ball says to me, he says, oh, no, it's just like, I view her as a friend. Like we all hung out at the cruise. Like I just view her as a friend. And I was like, Nick, I'm not going to get into these weird conversations with you. I'm going to just tell you one time. Just let me know. Can you knock it off? Oh, you got it. I was like, okay, check this out. So I showed you a lot of love, like more love than you deserve, because he's not even really on my level. And this, again, goes to what I teach. Deal with people that are on your level or above. You hear me? No scraping the bottom of the barrel out here. Don't show too much love. That's the problem when you have a saintly nature. You tend to show too much love. Nah, don't do that. I was like, Nick, I love you. And that's the only reason I ain't gonna beat your ass right now. Because just off the strength of you like playing funny right now, when I showed you, I didn't even like go through a conversation on all the weird stuff you did. Like, I don't get my girl nothing for her birthday. You getting her this big spread, like you embarrassing me. Like, you making me look bad, nigga. When her mom's like, oh my God, that's so nice. Who got that for you? Marquett got that? She's like, nah, like Marquett's friend got that. But nigga, like, you got me looking bad. We ain't even reviewed none of that. I was gonna let all that go. I should beat your ass. Like, if you weren't, like, if I didn't once love you as a friend, I would beat your ass right now. So I'm gonna do you one step down. I'm never going to talk to you again. But I tell you what, if I just happen to ever run into you just on accident, if I ever run into you on accident, I'm going to beat your ass because God wanted me to beat your ass. So you better make sure if you ever out in the world and you see me first, nigga, you better go the other way because I'm going to sleep your shit. Okay. Never talk to him again after that. And those are the only two situations. But the thing is, like, right in that moment, as soon as I identify the problem, we're done here. It's not, oh, I'm going to give you another chance. And the problem was that when I addressed it, because before that, maybe he didn't know he was wrong. When I addressed it, it's that tap dancing that let me know his soul ain't right. You hear me? Because there's two realities. It could have been he's dead wrong and he should have knew it, or he wasn't wrong, but the big homie said, don't do that. And you could have been like, bruh, I don't even feel like I'm wrong, but you said it, it's no problem. Because I showed the nigga so much love. You got to think, a nigga that show you so much love loves you. Why would I ever say anything or do anything to hurt you? I wouldn't. It's not my nature. My nature's only been to lift you up. So I got him up out of there quickly. And the key is to be able to get these people out of your way super quickly. I yield the floor.
Yeah, completely understand. And like, I've had real life incidents. I've heard you say that story before. And it just always makes me reflect on people I continuously deal with in my life. But, you don't want to just, maybe they just don't know. And you know what I mean? And you trying to give them a couple chances. But more so I was talking about, like, these YouTube guys when, because me personally, I don't watch, like, scripted TV shows. I strictly stick to just YouTube where I can kind of pick and determine what I'm watching. So I kind of either watch educational things where it's about nature or human behavior. And then I try to watch, like, podcasts, catch up on geopolitics. But, like, you have certain characters, they'll say certain things that could definitely be inspirational, but then you turn around and then the Anton, which I watch Anton his content for a short time, like right after you got demonetized and you wasn't going live consistent. I was looking for anything to watch, and I kind of enjoyed when he has the females on the panel because it gives you their delusional mind state. So it's more so like, oh, yeah, okay, this is what y'all be thinking, so they don't have to hear dumbass broads out here saying it in real life. I'm like, I already know what you're thinking. But I noticed that he like kind of pandered to him, and I'm like, I don't know if it's more so to make them keep them happy and keep them engaged. And I know the real reason why he'll have them on the show is because I see a bunch of simps in the super chats like, oh, you so pretty, you so pretty. So they over there just drooling over the girls. But like, yeah, like somebody like, I think him and Myron, they kind of like, they're that tether where, again, you can kind of look for like, oh, these are some people that's kind of like black leadership that's saying some right things that put you in the right direction. But then it's like Myron's breakdown of the Corey situation. He was just like, all this, like what you said was like on some suburban kids, like, man, y'all must ain't never really been in the trenches. Like, this is not something that you do. Like, and again, like, anybody that said Anton won that, like, as far as, and he checked Corey, like, oh, that's saying going outside. There's no need to go outside when I've already been in your face. If you ain't trying to go you ain't trying to go right now, why am I going to take another 2 more minutes and be more, like, because Corey an OG, so he's going to be more rational. By the time he walked out, I was like, man, it ain't even worth it, bro. He wanted him to gas. I know real niggas that really want to get. They want you to gas them up. Like, you walking down the street and like where you from, like in LA, where they asking you what hood you from, and people in Chicago, like, hey, check this out. They ready for you to say, like, they ain't gonna just jump just to jump because they want to act like they got some type of civilness to them. But you say anything wrong, like they looking for you to say that. So then like people don't understand that. So then they want to act like that. Oh yeah, well no, he was just being an aggressive black man that really wasn't about that. So you kind of checking them, and you show them that that's not that. It's like, bro, I went on Cooley's podcast to talk about this as well. And I felt like he was very disrespectful. He didn't give me an opportunity to explain myself. We're talking about white
Are you
supremacy.
talking about Anton?
Yeah, about the reaction.
Okay.
He had a reaction to it. And yeah, I'm like, yeah, like the whites, like he's like, well, give me a topic that you think that we could debate about. And then I'll try to talk about the white supremacy. Bro was not trying to fold that there's systems that's holding black people back. And I'm like, bro, like it's 100% like he just gonna like, oh, you just looking for a handout. No, I'm not looking for a handout, nothing. I'm just telling you, like, as a collective, you can't say like, oh, bring black people up, and then it's just not nothing for them to really aspirationally reach for. You know what I mean? So yeah, bro was trying to take a bunch of your tactics, and he just was speaking from the, I'm not gonna let you talk about my white master.
Yeah, on everything, man. And these guys are sad. In fact, shout out to my nigga Cooley. Shout out to Cooley. I mess with Cooley. Anton Daniels is a funny character because if you check back from whenever you first started watching me or whenever I first became a YouTuber, the message has been so consistent. One thing you can feel it is that I'm never gonna pay abroad. You heard me? Like I ain't never gonna have a chick like living off of me and she's not contributing. I'm not about to be doing all the extras for chicks. I'm not like, oh yeah, go get that bag and yeah, here's some perfume. Like, nah, I'm not. That's not me. 9 out of 9. I'm living AOB or she's really earning her keep. So a cat like Anton, and we can already tell bro's like a little bit feminine. And this nigga be wearing the most weird glasses. I'm like, this nigga wearing them like, what the weird ass glasses? This nigga got like a weird uniform. He always wears some dumb ass and then some weird chunky ass glasses, little fat nigga. And I always used to look at this and like, this is a different kind of nigga right here. I could tell he wasn't what I would call a real nigga. And then when we saw the situation with Cora, I was like, bro, definitely not a nigga, because people think you can't apologize. Like there have been times, man, like very few times. But it's like when you weren't as tightened up as you should have been. Like when I said Chicago earlier, like I was like, damn, man, I really wish I wouldn't have said that. I was just excited. And when you get excited or too happy, and that's why niggas got to stay locked in. You get too softened up, you lose your militance and you're too slack. And so there have been times I've said things that I wish I wouldn't have said. So if I would have been in Anton's situation, I said, like, man, you be sucking D out. I'm like, whoa, hey, I apologize. That was ill-advised. That don't mean that you're scared. That means that as a man with respect, boy, I'd be damned if somebody said that to me, so I'm not going to say it to you. You heard me? Like, I'll be damned if somebody say that to me, and I'm going to give you the same level of respect because I don't want you to get at me like that. Because I'll lose it if you get at me like that. And there's times to lose it. You see the white supremacists, their strategy is really impressive. It's not that they don't lose it. It's not that they don't commit violence. It's that they create a superstructure so that when they do the things they do, there's no consequence. And when you do the same things they do, there's always consequence, right? It's like you hear the white supremacists are somebody like, well, what about the murder rate or the violence rate? It's like, is what ICE is doing not violent? Is kidnapping the president of Venezuela not violent and illegal? They make sure that they are the law or they're controlling the law. You look at Donald Trump and all the pardons. He's pardoned more people than anyone in history. And ironically, he's pardoning real criminals. He's not pardoning people who were, vindicated by the Innocence Project. He's pardoning hardened criminals. And in fact, 3 people he pardoned have already reoffended. So I say all that to say this. When you got a guy like Anton Daniels, he's playing from the white supremacist playbook. So what he'll do is he'll say, oh, well, if you're not rich, you're just mad because you're not rich. You're using a handout. This is the exact reason he won't debate me, because I'll be like, first off, let's not talk about money because you just got money and all your money is YouTube money. I got money that's from way back before you. Also, I have a name from way back. Like you were nobody. You didn't even exist before YouTube. And I can tell you that I know for sure white supremacy is active because it's even active at the high levels of corporate. Have you been at the high levels of corporate? Like, what have you done outside of YouTube and your little cute videos that you record? Like, these people don't matter in the world. They've not done anything in the world. These are all like these are the Trojan. These are the people who are all image with no substance. That's why you got to walk around with the security. I take a security guard everywhere I go. It's like, nigga, what are you, Princess Diana? But you need a security guard everywhere you go. Like, he doesn't even make controversial content, right? Like me, I've said that I'm going to slap so many people's helmet off, I probably should have security. You heard me? Like, I didn't say so much about that one particular country in the Middle East. They demonetized me. They gave me 3 strikes in one day and demonetized me. I probably should have security. You heard me? And not to mention that when I was actually in my neighborhood, I was really cutting up. I probably should have security. Then you got a little fat nigga that pay these broads, is never saying anything mean to anybody, has no controversial views, and he got security. Like, how that even makes sense? That doesn't even make sense, except that you're scared and terrified of the world. So like, bro's super phony. But here's the thing. You can only see what people on the internet choose to show you, right? And so sometimes it takes a while for you to figure out. And when you figure out, dip. But here's the kicker. That doesn't mean he might not give you some good information. Probably half of it he stole off of me. I'm your favorite YouTuber's favorite YouTuber. I'll be watching these niggas like, no, this nigga didn't just quote me without quoting me. That goes for Myron too. All of them. They quote me without quoting me. So he might say something slick. If he says something slick, he's probably got it from me. Sometimes they kick some good game. They got it from the big homie. And sometimes they say something that's the truth, and follow the truth. Because the truth, as they say, is incontrovertible. Doesn't matter who said it. It is what it is. But anyways, I appreciate you sharing that question. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Chris. And shout out to all the folks who are really a part of this thing of ours.
Peace to the Saints.
Peace to the Saints. Shout out to Jude, came in supporting. He writes, peace to the Saints tuition. I gotta tap in with Jude. Shout out to Jude. He's helping us organize the effort to raise the capital for the training center, which requires a lot of capital. I also acknowledge Mr. Robinson came in via PayPal. He writes, peace to the Saints tuition for this much needed live. Absolutely. I'm glad some folks realize it's needed. Shout out to Dorian supporting the work, right? Peace to the Saints. And shout out to all of the Saints who are confirmed with this thing of ours. You dig? Shout out to the Smith family. Absolutely. Actually, shout out to both of the brothers over there. Ladies and Saints, it's been a pleasure to have this time to fellowship with you all. Let us end this with our tradition, Creed of the Assassin. Repeat after me with full conviction, knowing the true you, the Creed of the Assassin. I am going to be who I truly am because I am remarkable. And I'm going to strive every moment to show the greatest part of who I am. Until next time, peace to the Saints.